Imagine waking up alone in the middle of a rainforest. No phone, no compass, no trail markers, yet somehow, hours later, you find your way home. That might sound impossible today, but for almost every human who ever lived, it was simply daily life. For over 95% of our species' history, there were no maps, no GPS, no street signs. Yet people crossed deserts, oceans, forests, and ice sheets, and still knew exactly where they were going. So how did they do it? The answer isn't just impressive. It might completely change how you think about your own brain. Here's the first surprise. Ancient humans didn't think about the world the way we do. A map shows the landscape from above, almost like you're a bird looking down. But that's not how they navigated. Instead, they built something far more personal. A mental map shaped by experience, rather than paper. Hunter-gatherers traveled through the same landscapes, again and again, season after season. Every journey added another piece to the puzzle. A twisted tree here, a dry riverbed there, a rocky hill just beyond the valley. Over years, these memories formed a rich, living network of directions that existed entirely inside their minds. But here's the fascinating part. This wasn't guesswork. Landmark navigation is one of humanity's oldest tools. A distinctive hill, a lone boulder, or a bend in a river became reliable reference points. Once people understood how these landmarks related to one another, they could estimate their position with surprising accuracy, even across unfamiliar ground. Yet landmarks alone couldn't explain journeys across open oceans or featureless deserts. For that, humans looked up. The sun became their first natural compass. Although its position shifts slightly with the seasons, its daily journey from east to west provided a dependable sense of direction. When night arrived, the stars took over. Pacific Islanders transformed this knowledge into one of the greatest navigation systems ever developed. Polynesian navigators memorized the rising and setting positions of hundreds of stars, organizing them into star houses along the horizon. By knowing which stars appeared at different points in the sky, they could maintain a course across thousands of miles of open ocean without a single instrument. Scientists discovered something even more remarkable. The stars weren't their only guide. Skilled navigators also read the rhythm of ocean swells, changing wind patterns, cloud formations, and even the flight paths of seabirds to judge where land lay beyond the horizon. A swell striking the canoe from a particular angle could reveal more than a compass ever could. This wasn't just an old legend. In 1976, the traditional voyaging canoe Hokule successfully sailed roughly 2,500 miles from Hawaii to Tahiti using only ancestral navigation techniques, proving that these methods were not myths, they truly worked. The sky wasn't their only guide. Rivers and mountains quietly pointed the way as well. Rivers naturally connected landscapes, often leading travelers to lakes, coastlines, or places where other people lived. Mountain ranges served as enormous landmarks that could be recognized from miles away, helping people stay oriented without ever reaching them. Some cultures even carried their maps and stories. Indigenous Australians developed songlines, oral maps woven into songs. As travelers sang each verse, the lyrics described landmarks, waterholes, hills, and safe routes across the landscape. By remembering the song, they remembered the journey. What happened next surprised researchers even more. Humans weren't relying only on sight. The air itself carried clues. Coastal air smells different from forest air, while certain plants and damp soil release scents unique to particular environments. Sound worked the same way. The roar of a waterfall or the crash of waves could guide someone long before those landmarks came into view. Animals became another kind of map. Migrating herds followed many of the same routes year after year, often leading to fresh water or seasonal food. Following them wasn't only about hunting. It was letting millions of years of animal instinct do part of the navigation for you. But this wasn't humanity's greatest advantage. That belonged to memory itself, and modern neuroscience offers fascinating evidence for why. In the early 2000s, neuroscientist Eleanor Maguire studied London's taxi drivers. People who spend years memorizing the city's roughly 25,000 streets. Brain scans revealed that the posterior hippocampus, a region involved in spatial memory, tended to be larger in experienced taxi drivers than in people who didn't navigate professionally. Follow-up research suggested this wasn't simply something they were born with. As drivers learned the knowledge, this part of the brain appeared to grow, showing that years of navigation can physically reshape the brain. This is likely similar to what happened in our ancestors. Every hunting trip repeated, every water source revisited, every familiar ridge crossed again. Experience may have gradually strengthened the same brain region, turning memory itself into a living map. So, what does this mean for us today? Most of us rely on GPS so often that this ancient skill rarely gets a chance to work, but it hasn't disappeared. Indigenous communities across Australia, the Arctic, and the Pacific continue to preserve remarkable navigation traditions, passing them from one generation to the next through memory, observation, stories, and practice rather than paper. So here's the real answer. Ancient humans didn't need maps because they became the map. Every landmark, every star, every scent, every river, and every familiar path became information stored inside a living, adaptable brain. We didn't lose that ability because we became smarter than our ancestors. We lost it because we stopped needing it. That ancient navigator never disappeared. It's still inside your brain, waiting for a world that no longer asks you to use it.